So some decently good news for Xbox fans, and I say don't take it for granted, because you never know when developers and things like that could change their mind on bringing their games to Xbox. And so that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind going forward. We all kind of want to see games do well on Xbox, and we want to see games come to Xbox, but unfortunately we keep seeing games get canceled for Xbox or not get announced anyway. So it's just one of those weird things, and especially when it comes to certain other games, like maybe games that aren't from like the American regions and things like that. I think that's going to be kind of a big question mark going forward. Is this going to be something that we see Microsoft fix, or is this going to be something that Microsoft is going to be able to fix? Because we know, like, no matter what, for a company that's worth $3 trillion plus, Microsoft has an incredibly hard time doing things, the simplest things, for like Xbox fans. Like, we didn't get a wrap up last year. There was just a lot of things that kind of came out that really just kind of, I think, screwed over the fans. But apparently it's now knowledge that every time they get a Play Anywhere title, Microsoft is paying extra for that. So apparently they're paying quite a bit of money every time you see like something get announced as Play Anywhere. It's because they're paying a bunch of money for it. And when you don't see a game announced for it, it's because they're not willing to meet the demand for that. Because if you're a developer or publisher, why would you give away a free copy of your game? A lot of people tend to double dip on games, so why would you lose or give up that earning power? Like, imagine this, right? And Mikey Barra did a good job of pointing this out the other day. He's like, if you're Rockstar, you released GTA 5 on consoles and it sold millions and millions of copies. Then you released it on PC and it sold millions and millions of copies. And some of those people were the same people that bought them on console, but you're not going to give away a free version of that, right? Because it wouldn't make sense, because you're giving up a ton of profit there. So again, I think we're not going to see a ton of that whole Play Anywhere stuff in the future. Microsoft is just trying to do that now to try to go, oh, look how consumer friendly we are. But I actually think in the future, like with whatever they're coming out with next, I don't think that they're going to come out with anything that is it's not really going to need Play Anywhere, because it's all the stuff that's going to be on Windows Store or whatever, and whatever the case may be. So I think that's probably going to be a big shock for a lot of people when they're like, oh, well, what about all that Play Anywhere stuff? It doesn't that matter no more? I honestly don't think it will matter. So that's going to be a bit of an issue there as well. So again, we'll see what happens, but we do know that at least if you're an Xbox owner, you're going to get the rest of the Final Fantasy VII series, like all 3 games. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Part 3 confirmed for Xbox. The director has confirmed that Rebirth and Part 3 are going to indeed come to Xbox. Square Enix released just the first installment of Final Fantasy VII Remake series on new platforms, Xbox and Switch 2, and now players are waiting to see when the next installments will release. We already have received reports that Rebirth is coming to Switch 2 and Xbox in 2026, and now the director has confirmed that these ports do exist. So that's pretty interesting. The other thing is, I know some people, not to be kind of a complete downer or anything like that, but a lot of people were kind of running with the idea that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is in the top 10 on paid games on Xbox, and they're like, wow, they're doing their victory lap or whatever. Nothing else has come out. I'm seriously, I'm not trying to be a dick, but nothing else has come out to get in the top 10 on Xbox for most sales. You probably only needed to sell a couple thousand copies, right? Because nothing's selling a couple thousand copies in a day that's old. So, the fact that when you look it up and it was like the 270th most played Xbox game kind of is very indicative of, it probably didn't sell extremely well, So, but anyway, in a post on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Final Fantasy VII Remake director confirmed that the next installment will have Xbox ports. Director stated that he was happy that Xbox players were enjoying Final Fantasy VII Remake, followed by confirmation that Square Enix will bring Rebirth and the last part of the trilogy to Xbox as well. The director also thanked Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer for supporting the Final Fantasy series. Back in September 2025, the director had stated that Final Fantasy will expand to major platforms moving forward, with which includes PlayStation 5, Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC this week. The director also confirmed in a new interview that Rebirth and the third installments are in development for Switch 2, and the Switch 2 version's gameplay experience is pretty much exactly the same as all the other platforms. So even though we have now received official confirmation on Rebirth and Part 3 coming to Xbox, we still don't have a release window. A recent report claims that Switch 2 version could arrive this summer, and a reliable source says Switch 2 and Xbox version of Rebirth should arrive together, so players could expect the Xbox versions of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to arrive in the summer of 2026 if the report is accurate. In other news, Final Fantasy VI Remake series should be led by someone else, according to the 7 Remake director. Additionally, the game experience for Part 3 is more or less complete. Again, but you still have to wonder if the original intent for Part 3 to launch exclusively on PlayStation is still intact or not. I don't know if it's going to come day and date to Xbox and Switch. You know, there could be still some kind of deal there that would have to be honored, which is, you know, very, very interesting kind of thought process behind everything, you know. And again, speak with your wallet for a change, right? If you're like, it's not in Game Pass, but you know, that game franchise is still pretty cool, and it's, you know, nice to see it on Xbox. And people wonder why, you know, developers skip Xbox sometimes, and it's like because they talk out their ass and say they're going to support something and want to buy something, and then when it actually comes out, they do the exact opposite. So yeah, that's sort of a bum deal, if you ask me. I don't know. I just like to just say, hey, I will support it, and then nobody actually goes out there and supports it. You know, it's a really kind of an unfortunate situation. But anyway, you know, I'm very curious to hear if you guys bought it, if you guys plan on supporting it. You know, it's one of those things where it'd be very interesting to see how many actually sell. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me anyway, because Xbox users, we don't really seem to get you know, physical discs for this stuff, which is kind of a shame, because I own Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and the next one, and I think Final Fantasy 16 on physical disc on PlayStation. I don't think those ever released on Xbox on disc, and you know, that's a real shame. You know, I hope that things kind of change, and that we get, you know, something of a physical release in the future for these games. But you know, I don't know, something tells me that Microsoft isn't going to you know, do these things. You know, I don't think that they're going to have a physical option at all. And I think Sony, to their credit, you know, I think they will still offer, you know, the ability to have a physical drive, because why would you give that up? But you know, just the way that you kind of look at things, and you just kind of maybe question how these things kind of come about, and it's really hard to say. You know, it's like you know, it's funny though, because I see more and more people getting into physical media now. It's like physical media has had a bit of a resurgence, and I can understand that. It's like sometimes you go and you think, you know, you're paying for all these different streaming services, and then the thing you like leaves, and you know, whatever the case may be, it's a weird situation, especially growing up when I did, where, you know, you could go rent a movie. It was like every Friday night the new releases would come out or whatever, and then everybody would go, and you know, you get the movie and, you know, some popcorn and some candy, whatever, and you go watch it, and then, you know, you bring it back or whatever. And then now it's like, when movies get to that stage, it's like $20-$25 to rent the movie digitally that just came out or whatever. So I don't know, it's kind of like super expensive, and it's just weird to me how like things are. And you know how like DVDs and the whole VHS thing, like something could have flopped in a movie theater and still been successful because it sold well on DVD or VHS, and that's not a thing anymore, you know. And I think of it as sad, because there's a lot of movies and stuff and franchises that I really liked that did well because of the DVD or the Blu-ray or the VHS, and maybe got a sequel because of that success, and that doesn't happen now. Like you don't see people take risks on stuff. I don't know. So it is nice to see that, you know, I think that at least PlayStation will offer something that's going to have an option for physical. I don't think Microsoft will, which, again, will be kind of a slap in the face, but I think whatever they're selling is going to be super expensive anyway, and so I think that's going to be enough slap in the face as it sits. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about this stuff, though? Are you guys excited about, Final Fantasy? Have you picked it up? How do you guys think it plays? Apparently, they look and run great on the Series X and the S. So, I mean, they have that going for it. At least Square put some time and effort in on the ports. But let me know how you guys feel about this. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.